Uh, this is a story about a time when I was loved well. I was loved that way. It was in it's a song about pain. And I know some of you are like, yes, finally. I've been waiting for songs about pain. I wanted to write a song about grieving and about pain, because I don't think we do pain very well. You know, we usually try to avoid it at all costs, but then, you know, when it catches up to us, as it inevitably will, we get weird. You know, we're weird about our own pain. You know, we're embarrassed by it. Like if you and I are talking and your heart is breaking and you begin to cry, what are the first words out of your mouth after you start crying? Yeah, right? And I always want to say, no, don't say you're sorry. Let me say thank you. Wow. Thank you for trusting me enough to cry in front of me, allowing me into such an intimate and holy place, you know? So we're weird about our own pain. We're weird about other people's pain sometimes too. There's that story of Job, you know. He goes through hell, he loses everything, and then his friends come over to comfort him, and they just make it worse, you know, by offering him unasked for advice and by hammering him with scripture and telling him why all that's happened to him is his own fault because of sin in his life, and on, right? Or just explaining his pain to him, you know. And that's awful. How many of you have ever had that, you know, had that kind of thing happen where you're in pain and people just start offering advice and they try to fix you or throw scriptures at you? Have you ever had that happen? Yeah. How many of you have ever done that to somebody else? Yeah. Me. I've done it a lot. I'm getting better, though. I'm getting better about it. It's because I recognize that when we do that to somebody, what we're really doing is we're rejecting their pain. We're rejecting their pain. It's one of the loneliest feelings in the world. We're saying, I'm sorry you're in pain. Here, don't be in pain anymore. Listen to, you know, let me fix you so you don't have to be in pain. It's because your pain makes me uncomfortable too. So we reject people's pain. And that doesn't lead to healing. Sometimes I think one of the most loving things we can do is to give people permission to be sad when they need to be, you know, for as long as they need to heal. And because the thing is I believe that pain is holy ground in a person's life. I believe that pain, at least my experience has been, that pain is what the Lord uses to heal us. When our hearts are breaking open, it seems like that's when He has access to things buried deep, deep down in there that need healing, you know. For some reason, it seems like the only way for that stuff to get surfaced is through pain. And so I believe it's holy ground. A few years ago, about 3.5 years ago, I was on the road with my friend Andy, and I was going through a very, very painful season in my life. And so we were hanging out in the back lounge of the tour bus, and I was just kind of, it just kind of all came out of me, blah, you know. And I told him about all my pain. As soon as I was done, I was afraid he was going to like offer me advice or something, you know, and he didn't do that. And instead what he did became one of the most healing things I've ever experienced. My friend Andy, he stood up. He said, all right, here's what we're going to do, Jason. I want you to stand up, and I'm going to hug you, and I'm going to hold you, and you have to let me for 2 minutes. And he's taking off his watch, and I'm going to time it so you're not going anywhere. I'm like, okay, you know, I just feel kind of dumb, you know, I feel insecure. I mean, I'm all about male bonding. I've seen Band of Brothers. I get it. I'm on board. It's cool. But 2 minutes is a long time to hug anybody, let alone another dude friend in the back lounge of a tour bus. And you would think because like he was an artist that maybe he's like a huggy kind of a guy. No, he's not that kind of. He's like a man's man who like hunts deer and then rips their heart out and rubs the blood on his face, and so he's that guy. So when that guy wants to hug you, like it means something, because he's not like a huggy guy, Anyway, sorry with that weird image. It's like, whoa, an unexpected violent turn in the evening. It was weird. Sorry. Anyway, back to the tour bus. So I'm standing up, and he says, and I stand up, and he hugs me, and he's holding me, and I'm laughing at first, just because I feel just kind of goofy, until I start crying. And then I start ugly crying. And then I remember feeling like I kind of lost all my strength, and I felt like he was just holding me up. And he didn't say a word, right? But what he was saying was so clear. He was saying, you're not alone, and you are loved. And I believe that pain is holy ground in a person's life, and sometimes in the presence of holiness, it's best to just be quiet. This is a song about that. See the smoke from a mile away. Trouble always draws a crowd. They want to tell me that it'll be okay, but that's not what I need right now. Not while my house is burning down. I know someday, I know somehow I'll be okay, but not right now. No, not right now. Tell me if the hope that you know is true ever feels like a lie, even from a friend, when their words are salt in an open wound, and they just can't seem to understand that you haven't even stopped the bleeding yet. I know someday, I know somehow I'll be okay, but not right now. No, not right now. Don't tell me when I'm grieving that this happened for a reason. Maybe one day we'll talk about the dreams that had to die for the new ones to come alive, but not right now. So while I wait for the smoke to clear, you don't even have to speak. Just sit with me in the ashes here, and in silence we can pray for peace to the one acquainted with our grief. I know someday, I know somehow I'll be okay, but not right now. No, not right now. Not